Episode 29. And I've got to think of a better way to do these bloody intros, bro, because it's getting a bit stale.
Well, I reckon we should just get some celebrities to do the intros for us.
Rightio, that's a good idea. We should ask some people.
Well, they should ask us.
All right, we'll work on that. So what's in this episode?
So this episode, we've got a bloke that's taken some jambalaya to his workplace. We've also got a smoked cauliflower on the menu. We've got a whole brisket pastrami. And we've also got steak poutine and a cake made of jello.
Right. It sounds like a lot of food.
There's a fair bit going on, if I'm perfectly honest.
All right, let's just jump straight into it. Fuck up of the week.
Fuck up of the week.
It's a good way to start the episode off with a bit of light-hearted humour. And this one is a bit of a creeper. So it was sent in to us by Paul Callum. So thank you for sending this one in to us. There's no credit. I don't know who this is, but let's watch what goes on here. There's a barbecue and she's on fire.
She is. And she's on fire too.
She seems to be singing. Old mate's doing absolutely nothing. Oh, Jesus.
I don't think she thought the gun was loaded, mate. I think she's gone to sneak off a silent fart there. Oh, no one will notice. Bang.
So what's happening here is it looks like a husband and wife, or at least a couple, and he's been cooking on the barbecue, but the barbecue's alight. Whatever's on that barbecue is on fire, and there's quite the flame coming out, and his wife or partner has decided to do a fart near the barbecue, and it is set on fire.
It has, and he's so relaxed for how much of a flare-up he's got going on there. Like, he's got a toddler just cruising around. He's slicing up the steak. He's not concerned at all.
He's not. He's actually grabbed a knife to cut his steak. Why doesn't he just close the lid?
I don't know, man.
Well, she got a shock.
She did. Imagine that. Good thing she didn't get backdraft.
One more time. She's singing or something here. Jesus. All right, let's move on.
It's the sort of thing, too, that if it wasn't caught on camera, you wouldn't believe it.
You'd never believe it. Now, this is another fire-related incident. And when it comes to barbecue, you've got to be bloody careful around fire.
And anything to do with an accelerant like oil, petrol, anything that is highly flammable, you shouldn't really be throwing on a naked flame.
It's funny you should say that. So this one was posted by La Perilla No Si Mancha. Can't pronounce it, but that's about what it is. Okay, so normally we avoid viral videos because we don't want to pick the low-hanging fruit and we don't want our show to all be about us just regurgitating viral videos, but this one was too good not to share, so let's watch. What's happening here?
Well, he's decided he's going to spark up an already going pretty well fire pit, and yoink, he's dropped the oil and the flame has caught up, and that is not going to buff out. There's panic. The screen's gone. Everyone's running. Everyone's scrambling. But what's happened is the handle has come off the oil, fallen on the ground. There's already flames happening on the grass. It's just fed into that. And get out of there, buddy.
Yeah. So what he's got looks to be like a 4.5 litre tub of oil. There is a barbecue going already. There is even flames on the floor. So this barbecue is well and truly already lit. But then he decides, I'm going to make this thing bigger. The handle breaks, and if we look at it here in slow motion, the handle breaks, it falls onto the floor, which is already on fire. He goes to pick it up. By the time he picks it up, he's on fire too. His pants are on fire, his arm's on fire. Now, I'm assuming he's okay, but this just goes to prove you've got to be bloody careful, especially with accelerants. Jesus.
Dirty oil too, that's going to get hot, that's going to stick, that's going to give you a good 2nd to 3rd degree burn if you're not careful. But I know exactly what's happened here. There's plenty of beers going on. He's done it. No one filmed it. And he said, watch me do this again, but get it on camera this time. And Karma's gone, hold up.
That's true. Now, the cameraman here had one job. Once the guy caught on fire, he panicked. That was the end of the video. But old mate over here, he's got a camera as well.
Have you got that view?
No, I don't. I wish I did, but I might try and hunt that view down. A lot of people in the comments did say that. They said, where's the other camera angle? But, I mean, both his legs are on fire and his arm's on fire. Now, I'm assuming it didn't look that serious. He could have put it out straight away, so I don't think he would get hurt. But it's a pretty scary thing to happen.
Oil, luckily, is a bit of a slower burn, but if that was like a petrol or a diesel or something like that, it'd be a lot worse.
Yeah, well, don't do this at home, kids.
If you do, film it and send it in.
All right, let's move on. Dishes of the week. And this one caught my eye, and it's a pretty decent-looking jambalaya.
Yeah, it looks bloody good, mate. I reckon I could tower one of those up right about now.
Yeah, so it was posted by Garrido Baron, and he called it the homemade Jobsite Jambalaya. He's taken this to work.
Amazing.
So it's pork butt, ham, sausage, and chicken, and it's about half meat to half rice. He says it was anything but dry. He goes, don't hate on that cheap roaster either. I wasn't dragging a 10-gallon cast iron to the job site.
I reckon.
So he's just brought a little warmer.
You just got to be appreciative that the boss is putting on smoko, mate.
So he had some great tips too, which I thought was pretty cool for making a good jambalaya. He says season the meat and not the pot. So basically season the meat before you cook it and don't try and add seasoning as you're cooking it. He says prep the meat the night before to let that seasoning sort of marinate into the meat. Brown your meat first. You want the meat to stick to the bottom of the pan and naturally release, and you should develop a dark fond on the bottom of the pot.
Yeah, once you add your liquid, you're going to basically deglaze all that crust on the bottom, and it's just going to complement the broth.
Correct. And he says that's where the flavour comes from, and the colour, mind you. He goes, but it's really important. You've got to make it brown and not burn.
Yeah, you get a good smoky flavour out of that way too.
So once you've done that, you put in your veggies, your stock and your rice, and you're off to go.
Happy days.
Great looking dish.
Bloody oath.
Okay. This is a post by Bare Bones Barbecue on Instagram, and they're based out of Canberra, Australia. And this photo was titled, "This is smoked brisket pastrami done right." And what are we looking at?
We're looking at a whole brisket, which has been obviously brined to be a pastrami, essentially. And yeah, got a nice thick, coarse rub on it. It's been smoked. And one thing I can't get over is how perfectly sliced that is.
I'm glad you said that, because I've literally zoomed in here for that very reason. Is how did he get these slices so perfect?
Well, he's got to have let it cool and then put it through a deli meat slicer, you would think, just because of how consistently thin it all is. But by doing that, you've then essentially got to reassemble the brisket to accomplish this photo.
Yeah, it's mandolin perfect. You know, when you're sort of getting a mandolin and you're doing your veggies or whatever, it's that perfect. I think we need to reach out. Bare Bones Barbecue, hit us up in the comments. We need to know how you got this that perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've done it with a knife, that's like death by 1,000 cuts almost. Like, it's a long time. Because the thing that threw us off, we were trying to investigate it before. There's the really thick bits down at the knob end of the brisket there, but I reckon he's just started off like that just to get, I guess, the setting right on the sandwich slicer maybe, and then just fed it through and then just brought it out and stacked it. But
sandwich slice is big enough to do a whole brisket though.
I reckon. But you know what? The best part about it is he's managed to put the whole brisket down. I'd be one for them, one for me sort of guy. I would not be putting all that pastrami down on the butcher's paper.
Yeah, well, it looks great, and I love the rub.
Yeah, nice and coarse.
Okay, this next one here, this was stolen from somebody and then reposted on Facebook, so I have no idea whose it is, but it looks to be a perfectly cooked steak on a bed of poutine.
It does, and for all the purists out there, I think this poutine would be better than the one we featured on that pizza a couple of weeks ago. That got a bit of backlash from some purists, but so it should. It was a bit of an abomination, but this one looks legit.
Yeah, the gravy looks right, the cheese curd looks right, the chips look right. Now, the addition of the steak on top is a bit new. I've never seen that before. What do you make of it?
Well, I don't think you can get a better companion with steak than chips. I mean, steak frites is just an all-time dish, and I guess this is the Canadian version.
For me, I would like the steak just cut up into little smaller pieces so you could get a mouthful of the steak and the cheese curd and the chips at the same time.
Yeah.
That'd be a winning combination for me.
Yeah, you're going to make a mess of that poutine bed if you're going to be slicing that steak as it is. It's a win. Probably a bit more of a, generous plate than one of these fancy rectangle things that's just going to have gravy go everywhere, but it's fucking banging plate of food, mate.
It's a great plate of food, but that plate needs to be twice as big for me.
Yeah.
Half of that would end up on the bloody table if that was me.
Oh, it brings back PTSD, mate, from working in kitchens in the early 2000s. That was what you served out, the garlic bread with the old balsamic drizzle on the plate.
Would smash though.
Bloody oath.
Okay. Videos of the week. Now, this first one, it's not barbecue related and it's not meat related, but every now and again the algorithm does what the algorithm does and something ends up in your feed that kind of does stop you in your tracks, right? So I am going to play this video because it goes for quite some time, but it was titled Perfect Jello Reveal and it was posted by Sad Cow. So what we're looking at here seems to be a cake maker and they've tipped a tin over and we're waiting for some sort of reveal, but they're struggling.
Yeah, but at the same time too, if you've ever tried to get jelly or anything like that out of a mould, the room for error is very minimal. So they are doing everything they can to make sure this thing comes out perfect. And if it takes longer, then that's fine, because you can't just fucking whip another one of these up real quick. So I mean, even if half that sticks, it's fucked.
Look at that though.
Yeah, you've got a big peacock on a bed of flowers there, and that's what do you reckon the insides is made of? Is it like frosting, or is it all different types of jelly?
I would say it has to be frosting or some sort of hard frosting. It's a cake,
it's a Jello set in Jello. But one thing I've just noticed is up in the top corner here it says family, but they've done it in reverse.
I think what's happened is Oh, you're right, because a few people in the comments said that it's because the camera was just reversed around the other way.
But it's not, because everything on their apron's fine.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't say family. It says...
No, it does. Family back to front. They've done it the wrong way around.
There's two Y's in it. Famyly. English. Anyway, It's a fucking very skillful thing to pull off, and you ladies have done exceptional.
So at first I thought this was some sort of Jello Jedi. Like, I've never seen anything this impressive when it comes to a Jello cake. Now, it's about, I want to say, maybe 4 inches thick, and the top 3 inches look to be clear Jello, which show almost like a 3D artwork underneath.
Wow.
I've never seen anything like it. It's called Gelatina Artistica 3D. They do classes.
Hope you like jelly.
So...
Oh, there we go. That was one that hadn't been set. It was literally just frosting.
Okay.
Yeah. So the sugar content of this is about 97%.
They're based out of the back of New York. They're called Yollis Jellies. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm a pioneer here. I have found these guys before anyone else has. But no, I went to Facebook. They have 1 million followers.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I might be the last person on the internet to have ever seen these things.
Second last. You saw them before me, mate.
Okay, next up in our videos of the week, this was posted by Pull and Pour Coffee, and just like our tofu ribs, it was meant to trigger people for April Fools, and trigger people it did. What are we looking at?
So we've got here a coffee connoisseur going through the process of setting up a nice, beautiful filter-style pour-over coffee, but the final part of the filtration process is the coffee is dripping down a piece of perfectly cooked, crispy bacon.
So the experiment was clearly a joke. I'm starting to think, just like our tofu ribs, that the internet can't take a joke.
The look on his face at the end reveals that even he wasn't impressed. See, those tofu ribs, as triggering as they were still edible.
Yeah, well, were they?
I like tofu. That's the thing, though.
Truth be told, I stuffed the filming up for those tofu ribs and we had to eat them twice,
had to
right?
cook and eat them twice.
So I had 2 big bites of those tofu ribs. I'm just glad I didn't have a third bite because that second bite wasn't great.
Yeah, and it's always the case here. We've had a few mishaps here on the Under Seasoned podcast where we have had to refilm things, and you just really hope that the magic of the cinema gets recaptured in the second take, because you've got to pretend even more that you like it.
Well, we definitely had to do that with these tofu ribs. Now, this guy here, he actually, in the comments, writes, this is a joke, right? This is not serious. This is an April Fool's joke. And at the end of the video, he makes a funny face. It's obviously a joke, right? But if you look at the comments here, and there was heaps of these, right? People can't take a joke.
No.
Dumb joke, if you ask me. I'm subscribing after this. Vomit emojis.
Well, the thing is that
shit.
this guy's whole content is him pouring coffee over weird things. So I could think of way more offensive things than bacon.
Next time you're going to leave some disparaging comment, maybe you should check if it's a joke first.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Rightio. Up next, this one is a bit of a hidden gem, and it's called Cooking with Mad Dog on Instagram. And this is crispy pork belly with a butternut squash puree, charred fennel, vitloff, figs, and smoked pork, apple, and jalapeno sauce.
It's a mouthful, but it's bloody looks good.
Now, it's a pretty looking, very charry dish straight off the barbecue.
It is very char. It looks good, though.
There's a lot of combinations there that I would really enjoy.
He's gone the old smear. I think that's been out of cooking fashion for about half a decade.
You reckon?
I don't know what I'm talking about, mate.
I think it's a pretty stunning visual.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Just that char does it for me. It's a perfect amount of char.
Yeah, I'm happy about it.
And those veggies, I think they just get so forgotten about when it comes to barbecue. And to see people really treating those veggies on the barbecue with as much care as what they would a protein, for me, is a win.
Well, we got one coming up, mate. I am definitely not scared to go veggies on the barbie.
Well, I just think it's something that people can really get into.
Bloody oath, mate.
So I went digging on the rest of his Instagram here. And when I say he's a hidden gem, this is kind of what I mean. So what we're looking at here is smoked lamb ribs with chimichurri and hot honey. And in the other video is one of the best beef Wellingtons I have ever seen.
That would be a nervous reveal, wouldn't it? Because there's a lot that goes into cooking a Wellington. And just by cutting it in half and hoping it's that beautiful medium to medium rare all the way through, that is an absolute standing ovation right there.
Just that lattice pastry work that he's done on the top indicates how much effort he put into this thing, because that lattice pastry work on the top is picture perfect.
Yeah, have you seen what they've been doing now? There's some guys, I think they did it on MasterChef. They did a pork Wellington where they used pastry, but then they used pork crackling as the lattice.
Oh, did it look good though?
It looked amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rightio. If you go to his Instagram, Cooking with Mad Dog, he has lots of very detailed step-by-step instructions about how he cooks all this in his Save Stories.
Hell yeah.
So you can go back and look at all the dishes that he has cooked, and then you can go back and recreate them step by step through the stories that he saved. So that's a great benefit if you want to go follow this guy.
Oh, hell yeah. And we're all about promoting and sharing the love for cooking. Like, we want people to cook more, send it all in, and you're probably very rarely going to recreate anything. So by copying someone else's recipe, it's not blasphemy.
Yeah. Now, I'm out here thinking this guy's like a home cook and, you know, he's sharing his passion for the kitchen. But then he goes and dumps these photos on his profile.
Flexing.
And I don't know much about this guy. I follow him now, so I hope to learn a lot more about him. But this is some flex right here, and this is food royalty. So he's taken a photo of himself with Jamie Oliver, and the other one here is with Andy Cooks.
Yeah, bloody oath. And he's got a cracking mustache too there too, mate. So
I like the hair too.
yeah, you got the slick back.
Glasses are good.
You used to pull one of them off back in the day, didn't you?
15 years ago, maybe.
It's almost the same hair as the old guy there up on some of the artwork that I've done.
That's your artwork in the background too.
Yeah, that's at the Barbecue Mafia when Andy went there and did a bit of a meet and greet day there. So
if you put a mustache on that guy in the back and glasses, it'd be him.
probably would be.
All right, moving on. You shared this one with me.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of seafood, and when I saw this, I was like, oh, I'm going to try this one day.
So it was posted by GW Finn's Restaurant in New Orleans. Or how does Adriano say it?
New Orleans.
So it was titled Barbecue, but make it seafood barbecue. And it's a piece of tuna belly that's been dry rubbed and then smoked for 2 hours.
Yeah, it'd just be sort of like doing a bit of pork belly, I reckon. Yeah, I'd be so all about it. I love a good bit of tuna. Never had the belly myself, so we need to track some of this down. Next time one of my mates pulls in one of those big jewfish off the side of the Foster break wall, I'm going to get some, and we're going to do some fish on the menu, mate.
So this is part of Chef Mike's deep sea barbecue dish, which includes smoked swordfish sausage and pulled swordfish.
Wow.
I almost thought it was an April Fool's prank at one stage.
Yeah, right. Pulled swordfish. I suppose if you get the right part of the fish, you just sort of cook it to a doneness where you can just flake it all up and hit it with a sauce, I suppose. And
So the comments weren't very kind. They basically said that it looked overcooked, and they said that tuna is generally meant to be served rare in the middle, and people weren't really impressed. Now, that's why I thought maybe it was an April Fool's prank, but I went back and had a look. There was no like, ha ha ha, joke's on you, and this is a quality restaurant that gets great reviews. So I feel like maybe this is something we should try and just see what it's like and see if the haters in the comments are right, or whether this is a great dish put together by a chef, melding together barbecue flavours with seafood.
well, you're not really going to achieve that rareness in the middle doing low and slow, are you?
No, 100% not. You're going to put a smoker for 2 hours, it's going to cook through.
Yeah.
But is the texture still there, and does the flavour shine through?
Only one way to find out.
Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you think this looks dry to you? And I think if we do get our hands on some fish, let's try it.
Bloody oath.
Okay. Burnt or bark?
Triumphantly returns the segment Burnt or Bark.
We haven't had this one for a while.
No, I think some of the retaliation scared you off.
Well, look, I've picked no turkeys and no chickens in this burnt or bark episode.
Well, with the wrong end of Thanksgiving and Christmas for those two proteins, mate. So we should be pretty safe this time round.
Okay, so let's get into it with this first one. And is it burnt or is it bark? Let's have a look.
Well, I think with the piece sliced out of it gives it away that is 100% bark.
Yeah, so it's posted by John Mason on Facebook. I think he's a chef. He said, flavours 10 out of 10, but the bark looks a bit unusual to me. It doesn't look like a normal Texas bark.
No, it has gone a little bit coagulated there, hasn't it?
So I went digging, and this was the before shot. It's almost like a bit of a wet rub. It's very different to a salt and pepper combo, but it's almost like a marinade type rub. He says, this is my new type of rub. Hopefully it's good. I'll let you know in 17 hours.
Yeah, right. It seems a bit excessive. It could have been pre-binded as well too, which would contribute to that wetness, but that there tells me that it's bark all day.
Yeah. So something unusual. Don't knock it till you try it, I guess. It looks great. I'd eat it.
Bloody oath.
But it does look a bit different.
Yeah. I'd like to know what he's used.
Yeah. John Mason, if you are watching this, let us know what you used in the comments. And if anyone else has tried a wet rub, tell us what you thought of it. Because I've never tried a wet rub on a brisket before.
It's not the usual go-to.
But if you have tried it, let us know, because we'd love to hear about it. And this might be a new thing that we unlock.
Bloody oath.
Next.
That's bark.
Yeah. So this one was posted by Worst Barbecue, and he says, why can't I get bark with a pellet smoker?
Is that sarcasm?
I'm fucking pretty sure it's sarcasm, because that's great looking bark. It was cooked in a cabinet pellet smoker at 200F for 7 hours. Then he upped it to 275F to 200 internal, and then he wrapped it. So he took this thing all the way to 200 before he even wrapped it. He then wrapped it in tallow, held it in an oven for 5 more hours at 150F. So I'll say that all again. 7 hours at 200F, then 275 until it hit 200 internal, then wrapped with tallow in an oven for 5 hours at 150F. That's not the normal method.
No, I'm way more lazy than that. I just put it at about 275 to 325 the whole way. After about 5 hours, once it's barked up enough to my liking, I wrap it and just let the smoker do the work.
And that's the traditional method, right? I would do the same thing. But how can you argue with what's on the screen right now?
You can't.
So the big difference is the standard cook is normally at 250 or 225. Maybe you spritz it every 30 minutes. You wrap it at 165 to help it push past the stall. You pull it off at 203. You rest it for 4 hours in a cooler wrapped in a towel. I mean, that's the method that a lot of people use. This guy's used a different method, and you can't argue with the results.
No, it's still a good time. And that smoke ring is that's gone very deep. So that's what happens when you don't wrap. So he's left that naked in the smoke for what was that total? Maybe 8 or 9 hours?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's given it that beautiful pink penetration of the smoke ring there. So it also depends on how smoky you want meat to taste.
Yeah, well, I do think that visually enough anyway, obviously we can't taste it, but visually enough, I think I'm going to say that meat only accepts smoke for so long.
Yep.
Before it's smoked out. So
That's fair.
Maybe it doesn't matter how much more smoke you throw at it. If it's clean smoke, if it's dirty smoke, different story. But if it's clean smoke, I feel like you could probably leave it in there and it doesn't over smoke. Whereas if it was dirty smoke, it'd be a different story. But obviously we can't try it because it's only on the screen, but just visually it looks great.
Yeah, it still looks good though.
Okay, next.
Burnt. You know it's burnt when you can see the bones.
So this one was posted by Maleficent Pop, and it's his first time ever grilling.
We've all done it.
We have. He said, I kind of botched it. Can you give me some advice or criticism? He said, I used the charcoal chimney to get it started. I poured it into some baskets. I then threw the steaks directly above it, closed the lid, vents open, and after 10 minutes, they were burnt in the bottom. It didn't taste terrible, but man, I felt like I messed up.
Yeah, when I owned a kettle, I was never one to put anything over top of the baskets if the lid was being shut. I mean, if you were cooking direct, then I always left the lid open or left the lid off so that I could keep an eye on things, because that'll get away from you pretty quick if you've got a fat source feeding those coals.
Yeah. If I'm cooking directly over coals, and this would be my advice, I would generally be watching it, turning, flipping, making sure things didn't get too dark. And then I would offset the meat away from the heat source to kind of further the cooking, because these don't look that thick.
No. So all he really would have had to do here is drag these baskets to the edge and do it indirect, and he would have been sweet as.
Yeah. But to get that char, you do have to cook it directly over the charcoal, and then to finish it, or maybe even to start it, if you're reverse searing it, then you bring it over the hot heat. But during that period, you really watch it.
Yeah, but it's all fun in learning, and none of us ever get it right every time. So
yeah. I wouldn't say if you're getting into barbecue and you're starting to cook for the first time, you should ever be upset about something like this because it's all part of the learning process. Yes, it sucks when your stuff meet up. Yes, it sucks when you've got people around or family that are waiting for food. But this is how you learn. We've all been there.
Well, that's it. There's no fuck-ups. You either get it right or you learn.
Okay, next.
That's bark.
It is a crust on a steak. It's a beautiful crust. It's close to maybe getting a little bit on the charcoal side, but it's still bark to me.
It is. You can just tell by that glistening part of it, and there's colour underneath that char, so you know that it's cooked really well.
Yeah, so this one was posted by Top Dog Barbecue, and it says, "To those who like char, I salute you." So let's go through a little bit of the process here. He said he salted it, and then he hit it with a rub, which he said was sun-dried chili powder.
Yeah, right.
Or a blend of sun-dried chili powder. He then cooked it what looks to be directly over the coals. I'm guessing he's flipping it pretty regularly. That's the end product there. Good-looking steak. What do you reckon it looks like on the inside? I mean, if you didn't know about bark, you would swear that's burnt.
Yeah, and you'd swear it's still raw in the middle too if you were uneducated, but I reckon that's gone coast to coast.
Let's have a look.
Boom. Gee, that's bordering on medium well there.
Sometimes when you are not reverse searing and you're just cooking directly over the coals and you char the outside that much, you do overcook the outer perimeter of the steak.
Yeah,
so
and then you undercook the middle too.
Correct. But in this particular instance, it looks like he has done a great job of keeping the pinkness pretty even right through the steak.
Yeah, and that comes too with giving it a good rest too. Resting your meat is just so important.
Sometimes when I rest it though, I feel like it cools down too much. Do you ever get that?
Sometimes, but also too when I worked in a kitchen in the UK, one of the chef tricks was to put Glad wrap over it.
Glad wrap?
It keeps the steam in there.
Okay. I put foil over it sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, talking points. And this is where we find things, we share them in the DMs, and they just basically we're having a chat live in front of you guys that we would normally have to each other in Messenger.
Yeah, bloody oath.
Okay, first one here. This was posted on Home Design and Decor by Kimberly. And she said, we needed a new door handle for our pantry door, and this picture here was their inspiration.
So cool. Upcycled the old butcher's cleaver there, and that would be a sturdy bloody door handle.
So it looks like it might be a butcher shop, and to enter the store here, you have to grab the handle of a knife to open the door. So it's pretty cool because it's a full knife and it's welded into the door. So she used that inspiration then to do this at home, what looks to be her kitchen pantry.
Yeah, right.
Now, Christine in the comments, she said, now that's clever.
You want to hope she's blunted off this bottom part though, because if you had kids running around and they grab the bottom, that could be a bit, devastating.
So Vanessa in the comments, she says, that's so great. You're keeping people guessing. Are we butchers or serial killers? You stay for dinner, you find out.
No, I like it.
So it's pretty cool. If you're into food, this is a pretty cool little addition to your kitchen area.
It's a bit different though. I still can't get my head around the fact that the butcher shop door was a pull door and now she's got it. And my initial thought is I'm going to pull that fucking door out towards me and it's going to come off the rollers.
Well, it's not. It's a sliding door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's messing with me.
I would say that this might break at some point.
Yeah. Especially if it was in my house.
So speaking of door handles, the best door handles in the world, where are they?
I have no idea.
Victor Churchill.
Oh, there they are.
So these door handles are from a butcher shop in Australia called Victor Churchill, known as one of, if not the best butcher shop in the world. And the one on the left there, they're the door handles for the Sydney store, and the one on the right, they're the door handles for the Melbourne store. But what we're looking at here is sausages, and they're gold, and they're obviously some sort of plated steel and painted gold, but they're the door handles. You got to grab the sausages to get in.
That's really cool. And that actually brings me to a little hack that I've got. Have you ever been one of those guys that, you can't figure out? It might say on the door, push, and you'll still pull it.
Yep.
The way to beat that is to always pull the door. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk to the door, and if you pull it and it's a pull door, you come in. But because you're walking towards the door, if you pull it, your momentum is then going to push it. So if you approach every door with, the attitude that you're going to pull it open, you'll always get through.
Wow, that's a bit of a revelation.
It is.
Okay, I'm going to try that next time. Maybe with the sausage handles.
Yeah, that's it. You'll probably get stuck. It's like when you wear the singlets and you walk through the door and it catches on the fucking door handle and rips your shirt.
You get ripped by a gold sausage.
Bloody hell, there'd be worse ways to go, I suppose.
Okay, next one.
This goes down the avenue of dishwasher steak where all you need is protein and heat and you can have a meal.
So this one was posted by Juho on Facebook. They say one of the best add-ins to a sauna. It's a sausage pan, this time with meatballs and tiny wieners. It fulfills the sauna experience. And what are we looking at?
So we've got two of, Scandinavia's best inventions, the sauna and the IKEA meatball, combining together. Someone's having a cook-up in an old-school sauna.
Yeah, so they're using the heat and the steam off the top of the sauna rocks to cook the meatballs and the little wieners.
See, the thing is that I wouldn't like about it is when you go into the sauna, it's got that beautiful smell of the timber. I don't know if I'd want to mix the micro wieners, as they call it, and it's probably not the only shrunken weenie going on in there.
So funny you should say that. Someone in the comments says, who needs Savi when you've got Sweat V? And you hit the nail on the head. Chris Barr here shares your philosophy. He says, don't most saunas already hold tiny wieners and balls?
Yes, I agree with you, Chris.
Oh, dear. Okay. This other comment stood out to me as well. It's by Juta, and they say that they throw beer on the stones in a sauna, and the smell is the best ever. It's like baked bread.
Yeah, right. Well, that makes sense. Beer is basically just liquid bread.
Yeah, so if you're trying to get rid of that sweaty sauna smell from maybe your wieners and meatballs, a bit of beer would help.
Do you reckon he's throwing the beer on while he's steaming the weenies? Could be flavoured steam.
Maybe. It'd smell great, smell like bread.
It would.
Eat like meat.
Happy days. Jay's going to get himself a sauna now. Probably wouldn't work real well in an infrared one, though.
Okay, we're moving on now. We have some mail.
This is becoming very regular.
Yes, so we're going to take this opportunity right now to say, if you've got something you want us to talk about, you've got a cook you've done, you've got a photo, anything, just send it to us in the DMs and hopefully we talk about it. The things that we generally don't share is probably like viral videos, but anything that flies under the radar or you think's pretty cool or you want us to talk about it, we're happy to chat about it.
Yeah, especially your own content too. You know, we want to know if you've built a pit, if you've had a really good cook-up, if you've had an amazing fuck-up, send it all in. It's all love.
So this first one here was sent to us by River West, and he says, can you give me your opinion on this snack? Before you give me your opinion, I'm going to kind of read out what they are because I think it's important. So they're brisket shotgun shells using smoked cream cheese seasoned with Lane's magic dust. Then into a bowl with shredded cheese, spring onion, and leftover brisket. They mash it all together. They pop that into some cannelloni shells, wrap the cannelloni shells in bacon, and then into the smoker at 250 until the bacon is cooked.
Awesome. I'd want to hope that pasta was nice and cooked too, which I reckon it will. I reckon the fat and the juices from the bacon and the meat inside are going to do a good job of that. But, mate, 10 out of 10.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot of fucking round too, so, we salute your effort.
Yeah. I think anytime you put in this much effort, it's got to be worth it in terms of taste. But, I mean, visually it looks great to us.
So good. Just put that one on the menu list too, mate.
Man, I love when people come up with little creative hacks that they use and twists that they use on barbecue. And I don't know whether this is his recipe, but if it is, congratulations, we love it.
Yeah, no, you've done exceptionally well there, mate.
Okay, this is another one that was sent to us in the DMs by Sean, and he says that he's an amateur baker and wannabe pitmaster. On Instagram, he is called the Irish Egg. And what he does here is he says, I converted an old broken commercial fridge. I removed all the magnets, all the rubber. I bought a cheap secondhand offset, used the firebox from that. I put on some barrow wheels and boom, I've used it for pop-ups and soon a barbecue school.
That firebox is running hot, but yeah, it's perfect.
He's getting the temp in the old fridge.
Yeah.
So he's repurposed something that was probably ready for the trash bin and he's repurposed it to cook up what looks to be, in that picture right there, to be some amazing barbecue.
Yeah, he's done a good rack of ribs there.
That firebox looks small though, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, he had it running red hot just to get 250.
Yeah. But really, really cool.
Fuck yeah. It's all part of the journey, mate.
So if you've got an old fridge laying around and some imagination and a bit of know-how, you can make your own smoker too.
Bloody oath,
He's got some good wheels on that.
Yeah. Bit top heavy though. You want to be careful dragging that around.
So, Sean, we appreciate you reaching out to us. And if you want to follow this guy, he's called The Irish Egg on Instagram. And you can follow him while he does his pop-ups and soon a barbecue school, which we think is awesome.
Bloody oath. Good times.
Next one.
Got a bit of mail. This is from our buddy over in Switzerland, from Pesha, who I've recently learned his name translates to Peter, which he signed off the customs declaration forms. A couple of episodes ago, we featured Pesha and his carnivore brand. Yeah, he sent us a beautiful care package, mate. We've got some art prints, we've got some magnets, some stickers, some patches, and a cheeky little note in there that implies that he'd really like an invite to Meat Stock next year.
Well, you are welcome to come anytime you like. We'll roll out the red carpet and you can maybe help Sigh with the art wall.
Yeah, bloody oath. Or you could bring your tattoo machines, mate, and perch up a stool and put some permanent art on people.
Either or, the offer is there. We've got a few of the stickers we've put up around the place already. Some of these bigger pieces we might frame and get up on the walls.
Yeah, we'll frame them up. We've got to make sure we don't put the glass over the top of the frame so we don't get the shine of the lights all over the place. But yeah, stoked, mate. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. Okay, I have been putting this one off because it's going to be a long segment and a mouthful, and I'm not good with words at the best of times. You're going to have to bear with me.
Buckle up.
So it was posted by John Packer, and he says, I went on a Texas barbecue crawl with a couple of friends. They did 14 barbecue joints in 10 days.
Jesus.
They also did a whole heap of breweries, but that's another story. We're just focused on the barbecue here. So they bought a ton of barbecue. Now, they shared it between all of them. I don't know how many of them there was, but there was a fairly large group of them. They said they travelled from the other side of the world. Now, I don't know where that is, but it might have been Europe and it could have been Australia as well. It could be New Zealand. So I don't know where these guys are from, but John Packer, if you can reach out to us and let us know a bit more, we'd love to find out more about where you're from, because we think it's pretty cool that you and a few mates flew all of the way to the States, ate at so many marquee barbecue joints and had a great experience and photographed it and documented it really well, which is what I'm going to talk about. We ready?
I'm ready.
So he took pictures of every single place they went to. He reviewed them. So these are his words, not mine. So if something doesn't get a good review, this is not me, okay? This is John. Blame him, right? They did get to meet some amazing barbecue and they hit pretty much all of the Texas big hitters. So let's roll through them. So this is Goldie's. This is their first stop. Now, ironically, this is rated #1 barbecue in Texas by Texas Monthly, so the first stop was as good as it gets. So he says we ordered way more than we could eat, and he said best on the tray was the turkey, the potato salad, and the beef rib. And what we're looking at here is a pretty sensational spread of barbecue.
Yeah, bloody oath, mate. You got a few good-looking sides there too. You've got their famous potato salad. Looks like you got some cheesy grits there. Yeah, nice little crunchy salad. I don't know what it almost looks like a hummus up in the top corner there, but yeah, it looks good, man. Like
might be grits.
Well, that's what I thought the one in the middle was, cheesy grits there.
Oh, yeah, you're
might
right.
be mac and cheese, not sure. But either way, I mean, you've got the pork belly, you've got a couple of sausages, you've got some ribs, you've got the bread for the napkin, as we've soon learnt. We've got the beef rib, turkey underneath the bread. I'd be happy with that.
Right. So that's his benchmark, right? #1 barbecue in Texas by Texas Monthly. That was their first stop. So everything then gets held, I suppose, to this standard. So as he went through, the next was Micklethwaite. Or Micklethwaite, I think I'm pronouncing that right. He says it was all round solid, but without any huge standout amazing bites.
Yeah, it looks like they've got the meat sweats on the stop too, because there's not too. It's mostly sides here they've gone for. They've got a bit of brisket, a bit of smoked chicken, some pulled pork, and some sausage. Heaps of sides. You got the collard greens, the pit beans, potato salad. That looks like a bit of beetroot going on there. Mac and cheese.
Yeah, I mean, it looks great, but obviously he said nothing really stood out for him. Next was Leroy and Lewis. He says, this one blew our minds. That first bite of flat iron will make you a convert. He said the standouts were, of course, the flat iron, beef cheeks, brisket, and the frito pie and the cherry papas. Again, a sensational looking platter of barbecue with a lot of creativity in those sides.
It's a very heavy beef plate. I mean, it's nearly all beef, isn't it? You've got the flat iron, the brisket, the beef cheek, and probably beef sausages, and then some pulled pork.
Well, I've got to say I've never had flat iron at a barbecue joint yet, so I'm missing out.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Next was Franklin. So he says they had the best brisket here at Franklin, surprise, surprise, and the best pulled pork of the trip. But he just said, I wasn't a big fan of the sides. And looking at the sides there, they don't look really that interesting.
No, you've just got a slaw, some potato salad and some pit beans and some pretty generic white bread napkins there. But you've got to go to Franklin's if you've gone all that way, don't you?
Well, if you want the best brisket there is, that's where you go, and he confirms it.
Yep.
So next was Bar R Barbecue. It's in Montgomery. I haven't heard much about this place at all. I think it's relatively new, And he says it really bowled us over. He said everything on this tray was amazing. Brisket was top 3 of the trip. Fantastic turkey and sausage. But the sides, the brisket, dirty rice, it is a revelation. Cheesy potato casserole, so good.
Looks good. I think it's a couple of brothers, these guys. I think they're sort of younger guys, sort of in their mid-30s from what I've seen on YouTube. And it's definitely one that's on my radar.
Yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. Next was Corkscrew Barbecue. So he said he got there around about 1 o'clock, but he had a 1 hour wait, which is fine if the barbecue's great. He said the place has received a Michelin star, but they found it pretty disappointing. He said the beans were great, the sausage was great, but everything was let down by the brisket and the pork.
Yeah, that brisket looks a bit crumbly there up in the corner, but I'd still smash. Those jalapenos are a bit dangerous. They just look fresh there in the middle, don't they?
I'm going to say they're just for colour on the plate and you shouldn't eat them. But he says also, everyone talks about the cobbler, and yeah, it really is that good.
Amazing.
So a bit of dessert brings it back to life.
Bloody oath.
Next was KG Barbecue, and I think we talked about this either last episode or this episode. But
The
KG,
Egyptian one.
Correct. So they do a Middle Eastern-inspired barbecue, and he says the ribs were amazing for sure, but I found the rest just okay. I didn't really like the half-pound minimum, which meant that they didn't order brisket. So most barbecue joints will have quarter pound, half pound or full pound, prices for each, but they didn't serve anything under a half pound, so they just didn't order it.
Okay. It kind of doesn't look like that, though, because I don't think there's half a pound of lamb chops or half a pound of pork ribs there, but anyway.
I'm going to guess that's just for the brisket.
Yeah. Ah, yeah, true. Yep.
I'm going to say, though, by this point, they're probably getting full and, it was just an annoyance maybe. But, I mean, the barbecue looks good, Middle Eastern spices. But that lamb cutlet up the top there, I don't know about that. I've cooked a lot of lamb cutlets in my time and edited a lot of lamb cutlets, and that fat just doesn't look rendered.
No, it's not rendered. I would have trimmed it back a little bit too myself just so that it was sort of more of an even cook. But if you're going to get good lamb, it's going to come from Australia or New Zealand anyway. We really do cook it the best down here.
Well, look, this place is getting great reviews. All the cool kids are into it, so maybe it was an off day. I'm not sure, but the sides look great.
They do.
Okay, next was Burnt Bean, our mate Ernest Cervantes, and he says, one of our favourites of the trip, amazing brisket tacos, the best mac and cheese of the trip, and mind-blowing tater tot casserole.
It just looks so good. Everything he puts up is a dream. This is the new direction of barbecue. So now you've got culinary school trained chefs getting into barbecue. Things are going to move forward.
Yeah, and Ernest, I don't know much about his business partner, and I really need to know more about him, but Ernest used to be a competitive barbecuer and a very, very successful one. And then he has just decided he's going to have the best barbecue in America. He's partnered with his business partner, and that's their plan. I watched a YouTube video the other day, and they're like, until we get to number one, we're not stopping.
Yeah, that's it. I love watching anything that's got Ernest in it and can't wait to meet him at Meat Stock. But yeah, the real secret to the success and the flavours is that kitchen background. It's not just coming from competitive barbecue and having a bucket list trip around Texas, which is where a lot of guys get their passion from. So he's been bitten by the bug. Winning your first ever comp that you go in will aid that too, though, because some of these guys doing the old school stuff, the only reason they're doing it is because that's what they were shown. But when you get someone who's a chef and he's got that mechanical mind of what works and what won't, they can sort of reverse engineer things and say, well, wait a minute, this pork rub's got too much sugar or not enough salt. So they can change things and make them better, which is what makes them new school / future school. Well,
it's pretty cool that John agrees with our passion for Burnt Bean Co. Anyway, he agreed that it was amazing and one of his favourites of the trip. So let's move on. Next one was Interstellar. Now, I'm big fans of John and Amy Bates. They've been to Meat Stock. They have, I want to say it's the number 2. Vaughan's Texas Monthly Top 50. And this is also a Michelin-starred restaurant. And he says, really good brisket, really good pulled lamb, and the smoked duck leg. I understand why this place has a Michelin star.
Hell yeah. And one thing I noticed personally about Interstellar is they've always got sick merch.
Yeah, really well-designed merch. And who does it? Brady.
There you go.
Our boy, we featured him on the show a couple of episodes ago, right? Brady does a lot of stuff for Interstellar.
If I do one of these trips, mate, I'm having to take an empty suitcase just to come home with all the swag.
Yeah, everyone sells really good swag. But what makes this place so special is probably these pork belly peach, I think they're peach glazed burnt ends, and also duck. You don't see that on a barbecue platter very often. So the fact that he's flipping the switch, that's what's making this guy unique.
And that piece of smoked turkey there just looks so moist and delicious.
Yeah. Like you said before, there's levels to the game and some people just do what they've been shown. And then other people are like, hang on, I understand what you're teaching me here, but I'm going to flip it and use those methods in different ways and or change those methods to get a different result.
Yeah, that's it. It's just the evolution.
Cool. I'm getting a bit excited here. I just smashed the bloody chopping board on the wall with my arm. Okay, next up is Snows. Now, he got there at 6 a.m. He was number 160 in the queue. He ate at 11.
Yeah, that's too much.
What do you think of this barbecue that you're looking at?
It looks pretty good. It looks pretty old school standard to me, if I'm perfectly honest. I would smash.
So when we did our kind of like old school, new school, future school sort of thing, we put Snows right in the middle of old school and new school. And that's because Tootsie cooks old school, brick pits, charcoal underneath. But Clay, who's the pitmaster there as well, who cooks on the offset smokers, he uses a lot of more modern methods and he cooks the briskets and I want to say the pork ribs maybe. So they split the cook between the two of them, but it is a mix of kind of like that really old style, which you really need to appreciate for what it is, and also newer methods as well. But he says, this is John's comments, not mine, the group thought that this was a disappointment. But having said all that, John is the review that we're reading out here, and he says his tray was one disappointment after another.
Wow.
He said it was the driest everything of the trip, forgettable sides, leathery bark on the ribs, literally broke my tooth, he says. Bit dramatic, but again, they're not my words. I have been there before. I think you've got to appreciate these places for what they are and the history of what they stand for and the fact that Tootsie's there cooking on old pits. And I think some of these places are more about the experience than maybe necessarily the quality of the barbecue.
It's fair.
So the next one he went to was Barb's BQ, and this place is getting a lot of great reviews at the moment. It's in Lockhart, Texas. He says everything here was amazing. Standouts were brisket, best behind Franklin. So second best brisket, he said, smoked chicken thigh in mole, the pickled onions, and the pecan dessert. And it's a pretty creative platter of barbecue.
Yeah, if someone got a bit hungry here, they took a bite of the lamb chop before they got the photo in. I think we would have got some knuckles slapped there. But yeah, they look good. It's like a pesto spaghetti going on down the bottom there, it looks like.
Yeah, I want to know what that is because it does look very, very interesting. But I'm going to guess one of the people on their trip was a photographer because the photos are great.
Yeah, they're cracking.
And he was probably in the toilet.
Yeah.
The boys couldn't wait and they've eaten a little bit of that dish, but it's still a great photo of barbecue.
But once again, like that lamb could have done with a bit more time rendering that fat down.
Yeah, it's a tough one with the lamb because I just don't think lamb's very familiar to Americans and we would cook it a lot differently to that.
Well, we're going to cook it too in another couple of episodes. I reckon we'll have to do a full rack and show you how we send it.
Okay, next one was Style Switch, and I've eaten there before personally too, and I can confirm it's fantastic barbecue. He said top tier brisket, this is John's comments, not sold out at 6:30 p.m, so he was very grateful for that because a lot of barbecue joints now sell out, and that's the end of it, and you get there and you get disappointed. He said some of the best sides of the trip, the Brussels sprouts, oh my God, and the best sausage of the trip too.
Brussels sprouts get such a bad rap because pretty much everyone has PTSD from being force-fed them as a kid because they would have just been boiled, steamed. But Brussels sprouts can be an absolute showstopper when they're done properly.
You cover them in butter and you get that char on them like they have here in the photo, or you deep fry them. They're great.
Yeah.
But I am so scarred from these things as a kid, and I think Mum used to just put them in boiling water and probably from frozen that I can't eat them anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm into them, man. Like you get them, you sort of I guess you blanch them first to get them a bit tender, then you cut them in half, you cook them in the butter, and then we used to do one around Christmas time in the UK. You'd do them with a bit of mustard cured ham, cut nice and thick in the same pan, and then chestnuts.
Okay.
It was good.
Next, he said, we made the obligatory stops at Kreitz and Smitty's. Now, Kreitz and Smitty's are both in Lockhart, and they're the traditional old-school barbecue joints. He says both were really enjoyable, but you can tell it's a different style to everything else. And this is what I've been harping on about before, right? If you go to these old-school barbecue joints and expect what you're going to get from maybe a more modern establishment, it's different. And you've got to appreciate it for what it is. He, I think, in a very polite way, just sort of said the same sort of thing.
And I guess it all just depends what you're looking for.
Yeah. And when you walk into these places, the walls are black, the atmosphere is pumping, there's people opening pits. It's just completely different to what you'll find at other places. But potentially, if you judge them by their barbecue in a nice enough way, it's different.
Well, it doesn't fucking help if you start off at Goldie's.
So they started off at the best place they could possibly start off at. And I'm glad it wasn't all downhill from there for the guys. So part of me is like stopping at these old places is a rite of passage, and you need to do that as part of a Texas barbecue trip, just so you understand the heritage.
Yeah, for sure.
And just in case all that barbecue wasn't enough, they made one last stop before heading back to the airport, and they went back to Leroy and Lewis. They must have liked it that much, and they got another spread there.
Fuck yeah, a bit of sweet potato. You don't see that very often. They quite often use that as a dessert.
Yeah, so some really creative barbecue there again. And Leroy and Lewis, I think he's doing very well in that Texas top 10 and might be gunning for number 1. I have a lot of questions. And my questions are, how much money did you guys spend?
Yeah,
these platters are not cheap. This is the best barbecue in America. They hit all the top spots and they didn't mess around. This would not have been cheap. So, John, I want to know how much you spent.
And how much beer did you drink?
Well, I did allude to that earlier on in the segment that they also did a lot of breweries. And I think in the comments somewhere, he said they did twice as many breweries as what they did barbecue joints. So they had a great time. Like, what an epic adventure with your mates, right? Someone in the comments said something that I found really funny. They said, you should have had your blood work done before and after this trip.
Fuck yeah. And also too, you know, they've obviously had to take a driver and a photographer so that they can A, get around and B, remember all this.
Yeah. But he did say also in the comments that for them, he goes, you would think that obviously we've eaten too much and we're all full. But he goes, we went into this knowing it was a marathon. We didn't eat everything. We didn't gorge on everything. We wanted to try as much as we could and then get to the next place. But it was a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, that's it. And it's probably a party of, 6 to 10 blokes. So, yeah, just having a bit of a taste and in between brewery tours.
So I knew that would take a long time. So thanks for sitting through that with me. But I thought visually, like, that's as good as barbecue gets. And to do a tour through somebody else visually on a screen and to talk through it all, I think is a pretty cool experience, let alone being there, right?
Well, see, the worst part about this for me is now I've got a hankering for some salty, spicy red meat.
Well, you know what I've got a hankering for? It's a Texas barbecue trip. We need to plan one. We need to get some guys together. If you're interested in coming to Texas with us, you should hit us up in the DMs. Maybe we'll take a group.
Yeah.
Okay, Mancaves. So we're getting towards the end of the show here, but I had to slip this one in. This was posted on Reddit, but the account has since been deleted, so I can't really find out much more information. He says, this is a barn that I was originally told was built in 1670.
Fuck, it's probably heritage listed.
So I think it sits off the side of his house here. He says, I've completely renovated it for additional living space. The first floor is my man cave, my music studio, and the second floor is my home office. What are we looking at?
Well, what aren't we looking at, bro? He's got fucking everything. He's got all his guitars in there. He's got a nice little chill-out spot by the window to strum. He's got an 8-ball table in the middle there. He got the shop vac down there in pieces. It's just, there's literal shit everywhere. Like, he's got a couple of old-school snow sleds up on the roof there, a wooden surfboard. Fucking then on the back there, he's got a heap of different guitar amps and radios and steel signs. And there's a reason that this isn't in the main house.
So he says, I've been collecting crap to hang for years. My ultimate goal is to have the entire thing totally covered in cool shit, and he's well on his way.
Fucking oath he is. Lots of old school Americana memorabilia. He's got the old scythe sitting up the top there. You wouldn't want to hope that it's screwed down too loose in case it flies down and takes out someone. But yeah, got a set of cow horns there, heaps of bottles.
So he goes, sorry about the photos. The place is a bit of a pigsty right now, but oh well, my wife can't complain about what it looks like out here. So I think if you look through this window here, you can see their actual house.
Yeah.
So this is his area to do with what he pleases, and she can't get cranky at him if it's a mess. And it's a beautiful mess.
Oh, in about 10 years, mate, the American pickers are going to have a fucking field day at this place.
Like winning lotto.
Wouldn't it?
This is the last photo too. He's got a bookshelf here with some old neons and bottles of wine. And
yeah, some old school decanters up the top there. Proper neon too. There's a bit of a drum kit.
He's got signed footballs there too. Do you see them?
Yeah.
Rightio. Next up. Okay, art by Sigh. And this is a really cool one that you have done for Black Bear Barbecue. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so this has actually gone down a little bit of the theme of the current meat stock trend we've got going on, because this shirt will be exclusively released at the final stop of Sydney Meat Stock. So this is every year they sort of bring out a new piece of merch to sell at the Sydney event. And yeah, we've got the Black Bear there throwing up the metal horns with the cleaver with Ben's logo on it. And we got the little covered in tattoos there of everything they offer. And yeah, these will be available at Sydney Meat Stock. So make sure you're prepared to indulge yourself in a heap of different merch items at this next Meat Stock, because there's going to be a lot of cool shit there.
You can get your yearly wardrobe at Meat Stock, and a lot of cool varieties of stuff, not just Meat Stock merch, but also merch from all the vendors, and a lot of the caterers are selling their own merch now as well.
Yeah, that's it. And we'll actually have some Under Seasoned t-shirts available at the Sydney Stock too.
Cool. All right. We're getting towards the end. This has been a long episode, bro.
It is, mate. And all that beautiful imagery of all that lovely, savoury looking smoked brisket brings us to what we're cooking today, and that is a smoked cauliflower.
You've gone for the sides.
We have. This is the second time we've done a smoked cauliflower, because about 5 years ago, you and I teamed up and did a heap of videos for Weber when they brought out their smoke fire, and the smoked cauliflower I did on that was probably one of our most popular dishes.
It was, and to this day, I still cook this dish.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fantastic, simple, easy dish to put in the barbecue while you're cooking your proteins. It serves as a side, and everyone loves it.
Yeah, it's a cracker, mate. And I've put a bit of a twist on it today. I'm using a special rub, and it's by Smoked Seasonings. They're from Alberta in Canada. Nathan and Alana there, awesome people. They're always at Meat Stock. He gave me this rub, and basically I mentioned that it would go really good on a cauliflower. Bro, I thought the same thing. Tried it, loved it, and here today I'm going to show you how good it actually is.
Okay, well, let's go through the process here, because you've taken a lot of behind-the-scenes videos here. What do we got?
So we got some butter. We've let that go up to room temperature so it's nice and soft. We've hit it with some freshly chopped garlic, about 2 cloves, about half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. Then I've got some breadcrumbs in there just to sort of hold it all together. We've gone in with the rub, and the reason it's nice and yellow like that, it's a very heavy turmeric-based rub, so it's nice and savoury. It's Middle Eastern style too. It builds such a beautiful crust. Got a little bit of olive oil in there too, just to sort of help set and add a bit of wetness. Combined it all just with the hand, and then liberally applied it to that cauliflower head. And yeah, when I cook it, a little tip is you really want to put that foil underneath it, because a lot of that butter is sort of going to melt off, and you'll have yourself a nice butter fire if you're not careful. So yeah, it's a good time. It's gone in the Traeger at about 285 Fahrenheit, nice and hot for probably an hour and a half. It's a good looking dish, mate.
So you said you put the foil underneath it. What was that for again?
So the foil underneath is because a lot of that butter and that cheese is going to melt at the start, and it's sort of, you don't want to have a fat fire.
Okay, so here's the big reveal. Damn, that looks great. And I can see what you've done there with the butter, with the foil. But that's a beautiful looking golden crust, I would say. That's about as golden as I've ever seen barbecue in my life.
Yeah, it's good, man. The turmeric definitely does its job there. But yeah, we're going to serve that today. We're going to chop it up, bit of fresh lemon juice and some pistachios.
Rightio, bring her out. Okay, so that looks sensational to me. So just to reiterate, Nathan and Alana from Smoked
Seasonings.
And they're from Canada.
Yeah.
So thanks for giving us some of this stuff to try. And I'm going to get the stunt cam out here. You've got the blade, the cutthroat blade. It reminds me a little bit of our tofu video, but I can promise you this one is for real.
Yeah, this one's legit. Bit of lemoning.
Go with the slow... Oh, got a bit of lemon squeeze. That looks great.
Pistache.
So we're just topping this with a bit of lemon and some pistachios.
That's it.
And we've got a pretty epic side here that we've cooked in the smoker.
Yeah, or it's a standalone dish too, you know. If you want a night off the meat, it's a good one to try.
Rightio. Let's grab a little bit here. And
oh, yeah.
Looks fantastic. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
This is one of those dishes, don't knock it till you try it.
Mm. And I reckon when you try it, it'll be in a regular rotation like it is with us. Because when we did those first videos, we're just like, oh, we may as well do a veggie dish because, you know, no one's doing it. And it was the showstopper. That and the whole snapper we did, so good.
Well, I rate that as a dish. And look, I know it's veggies, and I know it might look like a joke like the tofu ribs that we did, but it's no joke. It's a fantastic dish because it's got tons of flavour.
That's it.
And so if you're looking for a side to have with your barbecue and you don't want to go to a heap of fuss, that thing will feed a family.
Bloody oath it will. Yeah, and it's just, you just put it in the middle of the table. Sometimes you can do it with a bit of hummus, or, you know, make a nice little pistachio and lemon yogurt dip for it or something like that, and it's good times.
So that brings us to our Encore. I'm going to pop a photo up here It's going to end the show. Give us something to talk about. What is it?
I see nothing wrong here. This is just the nipple on a pork belly.
So this was posted by Expensive Major, and he says, "What the actual hell is on my pork belly slab? Please help me." And we're looking at a nipple on a pork belly.
That's it. Commonly, nipples are found on the underside of the animal, so there's absolutely nothing sinister going on here. I'm more bemused about that fork, bro.
Well, he must have been very, very concerned because he's got a real close-up here of him pricking it with a fork.
I've actually eaten pig nipple before. Same thing. Working in the kitchen, a whole pork belly came in still with the nipples. We cut them off, deep fried them. They were great.
Deep fried pork belly nipples.
It's just another form of crackling.
Okay, so Eloquent Redneck, that's his name, in the comments said, "It's a good reminder that sweet, sweet, delicious bacon comes from a real animal with its own life and should therefore always be treated with respect."
That's a fair call.
He's living up to his name, Eloquent Redneck.
Bloody oath. He's got those morals.
He said that so well too, didn't he?
Didn't he? You said it so well.
Well, I had to put a bit of oomph to it because I felt like that's the way he would say it.
Bloody oath.
Okay, it's the end of the episode, and it's been a long one. I'm getting tired.
It is, mate. End of a big day, and we're going to fill up on some cauliflower here. And yeah, like, subscribe, do all that sort of thing. Send us in your fails, your fuck-ups, your wins, anything. If you got a hat for us to wear, a rub for us to try, a hot sauce to dip into, send her in. Yeah, we're getting up close to Sydney Meat Stock, hoping to see heaps of people there.
I can't stress enough how important it is for people to give us a like and a comment because that's what the algorithm goes by.
That's exactly right.
And we waffled on for probably well over an hour today, and we've done quite a few of these episodes. And to be honest, it's hard to talk for this long without maybe upsetting people. And it's hard to talk for this long and keep people entertained. So we do our best, and we've picked a niche topic. So barbecue's a bit of a niche topic. Proteins, we try and mix things up a little bit, but we love this scene. Like, this is cool. If we can help promote what you're doing or getting involved in what we love, then we'd love you to just leave a comment, leave a like, help us get this word out there about this barbecue culture that me and you are so deep into.
That's it. Share it too. Share it on all your socials. Tell your mates. And yeah, it doesn't hurt to just click those thumbs up.
And what do we say?
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.